Well, I've been listening to a lot of videos and reading a lot of the commentary on X this morning with regard to Elon Musk's poll that he took, where Tesla might place $5 billion in cold hard cash into the hands of xAI in exchange for what I'm estimating would be about 20% ownership. Other people may have other estimations, but that's mine. I have maybe come to different conclusions than others on this, and I wanted to share it with you. I haven't been able to read everybody, but let me know in the comments below what you think about my version. And then at the end, I want to talk to you personally for just a minute about a few other things. All right. First of all, I am pretty sure, darn sure, okay, almost 100% certain that Elon had thoroughly thought through the potential for Tesla to invest $5 billion into xAI for this roughly 20% of the company. The subject has come up before, and I'm also sure that he knew that the last one of the retail investor questions was going to be that question. So this was not like a spur of the moment. We've seen him make some spur of the moment decisions in these earnings calls and other kinds of situations, but I don't think this was one of them. However, it might be that the question that was raised by the retail crowd spurred him on to make the decision at this time. I don't think it has anything to do with xAI needing the cash. Now, it might. He might really like to have another $5 billion there to play with, and maybe they would like to buy some more GPUs. Maybe they'd like to buy some dojos. But whatever the case may be, whether they need the money or don't need the money, it never hurts for a startup like xAI to have extra cash in the bank when opportunities come along. But I don't think it's a hurried or rushed decision. And I do believe that Elon could raise another $5 billion if he chose to go to the markets again. I think that wouldn't be a real problem for xAI to pull in another $5 billion. Well, okay, so now depending on who you ask, xAI is worth either about 18 billion or 24 billion. There's a lot of discussion in that category. Meanwhile, Tesla is worth 690 billion. So if Tesla were to just pony up that $5 billion, I think that would come out to about 20% ownership, because you would go from, let's say, a value of 20 billion, that's in the middle of those two, to a value of 25 billion. And if 5 billion was Tesla's, that would be 20%. That's how I came up with my number. I also suspect that this would be around the max that Elon would allow. We'll talk about that in a minute, because Gene Munster has another theory, but I think that's going to be the max. The startup, the other owners of that, ponied in the 6 billion recently, the people that were there as founders that probably ponied up some millions in the beginning, plus the employees who have come on that want to be part of a startup. I think all of them would want to limit the amount of exposure from one source in this particular situation. That is my guess, and I think I'm right on that one. I would actually probably prefer a stock swap rather than reducing the cash hoard at Tesla. But I'm not stuck in the mud on that. But the reason for that is I think that having the X.AI or the xAI owners feel like they have a stake in Tesla would be a positive. Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of crossover already. A lot of the people that are I know some of the people that are invested in both Tesla and in xAI already. And many of the people that are on that have come along as employees of the xAI probably were already Tesla owners of the Tesla stock. But I do think there would be a nice incentive going both ways. If xAI does well, Tesla shareholders benefit. If Tesla does well, which they obviously will, then xAI owners could get some benefit from that. I think that would be a very much better way to do it. Or maybe, as one person said, I saw in the comments somewhere on X, maybe some of both, maybe 3 billion of cash and 2 billion of stock, or some combination. Anyway, I just think that would be the best way to do it. That is, but it's not critical, but I'm just throwing out that idea into the mix. Elon says the board would need to approve and also set up a shareholder vote for approval as well. I suppose that due to all the cross ownership, that may and probably is true, although I'm not 100% sure. you can buy companies. Elon has bought lots of companies without, partial companies or all of companies over the years, I think without board approval, but, potentially with just board approval. But in this case, because there is this personal connection between the companies, I suspect maybe getting the shareholder vote would be wise, would be good. Now, do they have to wait till next year to do that? I don't think. The vote on X today was running about 68% positive, and many, many influencers have chimed in very positively. There have been some negative comments, but they would be this mostly so far not very thoughtful comments, more like, oh, Elon this and Elon that, as opposed to what this might advantage the two companies. Now, you need to step back. Here's the critical part where I think, at odds with most of the people that I've heard speaking, although I'm not sure all of them have discussed this. This is not the kind of play where you're creating a partnership, okay, between the two companies. This is not creating any kind of a legal obligation on xAI to provide Tesla with anything. They won't. They're just a stockholder. I buy stock in Tesla. It doesn't mean that the only thing Tesla owes me is a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as they possibly can through the use of my money. That's it. I don't get an advantage on when I buy a car. I don't get an advantage when there is a shareholder meeting. Well, I get a shareholder meeting, I guess, because they only invite shareholders. But basically, that's it. There's no quid pro quo here. So anybody that's sitting here going, oh, well, this will mean we definitely get Grok, or this will mean that we definitely get some advantage if there's a limited services available and xAI has to decide between customers. No, none of that's going to be true, and vice versa. xAI is not getting, if they own stock in Tesla, they're not going to get any preferred, situation either from Tesla. However, as long as I've been following the companies, and that's got to be about 7 years now, and writing books about it and how Elon thinks and how Elon has acted over the years, that's already been happening. That's an automatic. If Elon is involved in these companies going forward, Elon is going to give Tesla an absolute first choice at getting any services that they're going to need from xAI. Now, if that ever stopped, well, then I guess Tesla would be able to go to NVIDIA or to other people that offer similar kinds of things, to Microsoft, or a whole bunch of people are going to have these capabilities. But I don't think that's ever going to be the case. I think that's definitely something that Elon feels very strongly about, is these companies interacting. Now, I've said over and over again, I'd like those interactions to be more transparent. I'd like those interactions to be more formal. Maybe they are really formal. We just don't see it, so the transparency isn't there. But I think it would be good for any transactions happening between the company should probably be a lot more transparent. And, how much do we charge? What does Tesla charge SpaceX? What does SpaceX charge Tesla? What is, et cetera, et cetera? You get the point. So, moreover, let's say Elon sold out of both companies. Let's say that, he went back to his home planet. Let's say that for whatever reason, he decided he wanted to just, sleep on the beach. The ownership by Tesla and xAI would not in any way create any kind of a legal reason for xAI to provide Tesla with needed services or give it any priority. So this is not the reason to do the deal. The reason to make the investment is because you believe that $5 billion would pay off, like the investment in Bitcoin. No different, same thing. They're not buying enough of a part of the business. They're not looking to control ownership. They're not looking to control the company. They're not looking to, like they did with the battery guy up in Canada. I forget his name now. It's been too long since I've needed to know his name. No, this is not that kind of deal. This is not for control. There's no strings attached. What would the $5 billion do in terms of return on investment for the shareholders? That's what it's all about. Personally, I think that it would be a bonkers investment and pay off massively. However, it won't be a huge deal though compared to Optimus. It'll be, it'll move the needle a little bit, but it might move the needle on the same way that, the energy division will move the needle, maybe even more. Okay, so it's important. It could be really important. So for instance, let's say it becomes a unicorn, goes to $1 billion, capital worth. Maybe they go public or whatever, but maybe it's worth $1 billion. Well, all of a sudden, that 20% of the billion is 35 times the original 5 billion, 165 billion. Well, going from 5 billion to 165 billion, that's a reasonable, kind of way to invest your money. And I don't think that there's any reason to believe. Did I say $1 billion? If it becomes not a unicorn, if it becomes a $100 billion company, I completely messed that up. If it becomes a $100 billion capital net worth company, which I think is absolutely reasonable and probably will, that is 30 times the roughly 25 to 30 billion that it would be worth after the investment. So 35 times, anyway, 165 billion, that would be a good ROI. Well, here's Gene Munster's math. He was, after I did this math, I looked and Gene Munster had done some math. His is slightly more conservative. He says, look, some perspective on the distant potential that Tesla invests 5 billion in XAI, as suggested by Elon. And bottom line is that it would have a material benefit to XAI, given it would almost double their capital. As for Tesla, the impact would be more subtle. If XAI post-money valuation was 29 billion, for instance, 24 plus the 5, which was the highest possible valuation based on anybody I could find, this implies Tesla would hold 17%, not 20%. Assuming no dilution and XAI reaches a valuation of 200 billion, twice what I was suggesting, in the next 5 years, it would add just over 4% to Tesla's market cap of by 30 billion. From a return on capital perspective, a 600% return over 5 years is a great outcome. My recommendation is Tesla should invest 20 billion instead of 5 billion. Well, there's no way. That's what I said earlier. Elon's not going to allow a $20 billion investment. That's just not going to happen. He's not going to allow what would be 4 times 20%, 4 times 17% even, a 68% ownership. That's just not going to happen. So that's not in the cards. Finally, it says nothing to do with Grok and cars and Optimus. Those will happen unless Elon has another way to achieve a voice for Optimus and a voice for the cars. Then Grok will be the voice, and Grok's background, backup, whatever you want to, the data, content, the ability to speak intelligently is going to come from that relationship. I don't see any way around that. I think that's what Elon has in mind. That's what he sounded like he was saying in the call. Anyway, there it is. That's my assumptions, my analysis. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I might have messed up some numbers back there, so you can probably straighten out my numbers in the comments. Now, let me just say for a couple of seconds here, look, had a great month with the channel. So I'm above that $25 an hour now. Thank you all for all the ways that you've been listening to the program. I'm still not to that $50 an hour, which is my goal. No, I wish, but we're not quite there. I am trying to become monetized on X, which would help me get to the goal as well. And it seems like I'm able to maybe make strides towards monetizing on X within the same time frame, because I'm able to multiply the utilization of the same data I needed anyway, and it just takes a few more minutes to write the content. So anyway, we're moving towards the goal, but the Patreon is probably still going to be necessary. I think if we're really going to get there, I'm going to have to at least double the Patreon. So if you wouldn't mind, we have 2 people now that are in at $50 a month. We have a bunch of folks that are in at the $10 level. Thank you so much for all of that. A whole bunch more at 5. And then quite a few now at 3. We appreciate every single person that is participating, whatever you think you can possibly do. Now, let me just also say that there's another way to help the channel, and that is to buy Cybertruck bottle openers. Selling lots of them on Amazon right now, but not any here on the channel. So the information is down in the description below. Now's the time to buy them before we get to Christmas. During the Christmas rush, you'll forget, or, we're guys, 95% of the people on this channel are guys, and you guys are horrible shoppers. So now's the time to start thinking about it. Remember, you can now put whatever you want. You can do the art. You can change the art, any 4-color art you want. Any 2-color, any kind of, basically any art you can think of, you can put on there. So you can use this as a way to promote your business. You can use this for a party favor. You can use it in so many different ways if you want to change the art and have a blast with it. And I haven't had all kinds of people tell me how much they like their Cybertruck bottle openers. You've seen them. Other people have been promoting them as well. It's a great item, and I just would love to have more of you get involved, and that would help the channel. You can always go on Amazon and pay $29.95, but from me, you pay $25 for one. And I'm going to make it, since I'm doing this, I'm going to make a deal right now. If you buy any number from 1 to 100, no, that's not a good deal. 25 is the price for one. If you buy two, we'll go for 45. We've been doing that a lot. Then 3 or more is $20. I don't care how many you buy. 3 or more is $20. Now, if you want to actually buy 25 or 50 or 100, give me a call. Give me an email. If you want to buy that many, maybe we can figure out based on where you're located. I can save from freight or some things I might be able to do. All right, that's all I got for you right now. It has been great. Don't forget, we got Jeff Lutz coming up later tonight. He is ready to go. Oh man, this is going to be one of the best shows ever. Jeff and I got so much to talk about that I think nobody else is really, there's stuff I think not being paid enough attention to, as everybody is so focused on this whole thing with XAI. And then don't forget to look at Brian White's video from yesterday. That was a very good one. I'll put the card right up above. All right, now I'm going to check out. It has been great talking to you.